that had them.
That's actual talent. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the Gauntlet presents Pick Off, the 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 love child of the Gauntlet. And all right,
Fucking
all
relax,
right, y'all. Here
Jesus.
was the host of
What
the
are we
show
talking
who's a
about?
little late getting
Relax.
out of the shower.
And then at the end of the day, this is a show that Joseph and James and everybody else created. So yes, I am here. Not try to sit there and pull a rank on this, but yeah, this is a show that we started. So we shouldn't start till everybody gets on. And if we
And the
are,
start or the
I
stream
suggest
is
we get
gonna
on.
cancel.
So with that being said, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the NFL Picked Off as a affiliate of Sideline Sports. Shout out to them. Thank you for allowing us to have us on. How's everybody doing today? Dom and Jay. James is not feeling well.
I'm doing great, honestly. It's been a
Doing
great
pretty
week so
good.
far.
Um, everybody see my Jägermeister hat. I've been had
Oh,
this. I
come
just wanted to
on.
bring
What
it
I
to
mean,
light.
it is cool because it's orange, but outside of that, what are you, a 19-year-old Chaldean? You don't really drink that stuff, do you?
I actually do. You don't?
No.
And what are you having? I didn't see it.
Oh, it was a Jägermeister hat. I actually am going to have some Martell after we get done with the show. What's in that bag back there, though?
Oh, that is some baked chicken, mac and cheese, and cabbage that I'll be eating through this show. That's for
All
sure.
right.
But anyway, guys, as you know, all of us have our teams. What game are we starting off with tonight? We doing the Thursday night matchup between the Eagles and the Commanders?
Yes, sir. Eagles are 3.5 point faves.
This is a battle for the NFC East crown division lead for right now. Who would have thought it came down to Washington and the Philadelphia Eagles? Ironically, both teams drafted similar type of quarterbacks. One may have been more along in his passing game than the other, but both of them have developed into really some dynamic quarterbacks and developing into dynamic quarterbacks. So I'm going to turn it to the NFC East, NFC North guy who is looking at both of these teams as we go down the stretch. Who do you have, Dom, and why?
Tough game, great matchup. Good to see a matchup like this on Thursdays because Lord knows over the years we've had some real duds.
Not last week.
No, last week was great. It seemed the last like year and a half it's evened out. I'm talking about like way back in the day where it's like, man, why are they even doing this to us? I think I'm going to take the Eagles strictly based off, well, a couple things. For one, the Eagles have been rolling lately. Jalen Hurts got off to a bit of a dubious start in the season. A lot of turnovers. He's cleaned that up a lot. Saquon Barkley's been killing it all year long. I would love to pick the Commanders, but just for the fact that it's at home and under the bright lights. Not that Jaden Daniels seems to have any sort of problem with that. I think this is a game that the Eagles will win because they're at home and they've been rolling. I mean, not that the Commanders haven't either, but yeah, I'll take the Eagles. I don't like that spread though.
Okay. So we have Dom for the Eagles. Ironically, Dom has the team that actually might be his biggest threat. And so, with that being said, we're going to go with Jay. Who do you have? Do you have Jaden Daniels or do you have Jalen Hurts?
Woo! This right here, Mitch, will have been a pick'em game to me. You mentioned developing quarterbacks, and I actually see similarities between the two. Jalen may be a bit more of a runner. I like Jalen as far as ability to make plays. The only advantage, and maybe an unpopular opinion, maybe you agree, maybe you don't, but I think Jaden Daniels is a better passer as a rookie than Jalen Hurts was as a rookie. Jalen Hurts kind of had to develop to where he is right now. Jaden already came in with it. But with that being said, this is one of those games where if it were in Washington, I would have picked the Commanders. But since it's in Philly, give me the Eagles, and I got them covering.
I'm a lone wolf because I actually got the Washington Commanders, and I love it because if it was,
What?
I'm not going to sit here and gloat, but these two teams started looking at these quarterbacks after another quarterback was drafted in the '95 Baltimore area. But with that being said, I actually think I'm going to be Washington's game time because I think Jaden Daniels is game time. And one thing I do know that has been an area of emphasis for Philly is they have issues with dual threat quarterbacks who also know how to use their legs very well. And here we have Jaden Daniels using his legs very well. They have a front offensive line and defensive line, so you're not going to be able to bully them, which is primarily a big part of Philadelphia Eagles game. So I'm going to go with the Commanders in this one. So I actually think they will actually upset them at their house, and they will sit here and take over first place in the NFC East. That is something I never thought I would say for a long, long time. And we are. So we have 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles, naturally so, and we have the Lone Wolf, which, if anyone knows me, for me to sit here and say that, that's why Jay was a little exasperated right there, because I literally just gave credit and talked about a team that over the years, I
He's
haven't really been
historically
nice.
hated.
I
Yeah.
haven't really been
I mean,
nice about.
we may as well split the panel because we can pretty much proxy in James for the Eagles. So,
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
There hasn't been
So,
a lot of
yes.
nice things to say about the Commanders until this year, if we're being
Bingo.
honest.
Bingo. So we're going to move on to the next game. This is so exciting. Drum roll. We have the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. 2 teams that are really in a different space right now, and it's not a good space for either one of them. You have the Green Bay Packers, who lost to Detroit and now is on the third in the division, looking up to Detroit and Minnesota. You can look at Minnesota and think maybe they're starting to teeter off a little bit, but Green Bay hasn't exactly been looking their crisp. And Chicago, at the end of the day, is going backwards. But I have my own opinions on that. If we talk about it on the Gauntlet, we can go ahead and talk on the Gauntlet about that. So stay tuned on Friday if that's a topic. But both teams really want to win, and it's not necessarily just a win to stay in the standings. It's a confidence thing as well. And I think it's more. So I'll ask you this: who do you think is going to win, and why? Sorry.
Dumb?
This
Based
is
upon
your
kind
position.
of similar to what JJ said, these are 2 teams in 2 different places right now. I believe the counter on Caleb Williams' touchdown throwing list, they haven't scored an offensive touchdown whatsoever in 6 quarters. And apparently, rumor has had it that a lot of the veterans had asked for Caleb Williams to be benched in favor of Tyson Bagent. I think that's definitely something we should explore further on Friday. But yeah, there's no way in hell I would ever pick the Bears at this point. They're in the basement where they belong, and they're going to stay there. Even if they won, they'd still be in the basement. And like JJ said, the Packers haven't looked their best. Jordan Love definitely having a bit of a sophomore slump, throwing some interceptions. Josh Jacobs has been great all year. Green Bay's got a pretty good defense, a mixture of youth and veterans. Yeah, I'll take the Packers and definitely to cover. I don't think this game will be particularly close. I think this might be the game before the game that Caleb Williams gets benched.
So, with that being said, let's ask that then. Who do you think is going to win, Jay? And if you think the team winner, whoever the loser is, are they going to make a drastic move?
Oh, man. First of all, I like that line. Second of all, definitely the Packers. Packers, actually similar to the Texans right now. And they're both playing. They haven't played their best ball yet they got winning records. 2 young quarterbacks. As far as the Packers goes, I think that their defense is a little bit better than what's led on. Of course, they got a more than solid back in Josh Jacobs to help take the pressure off Jordan Love. All Jordan Love has to do is kind of cut down on the dumb mistakes. You know what I mean? But he's a highly talented guy. And the Bears, they're having this roller coaster-esque season. I think that the prediction of them going 8-9 is actually plausible. I can see maybe 3 more wins for them this year, maybe 4, but that's it. Yeah, definitely give me the Packers in this one, and the Packers to cover, of course.
I got the Bears to cover because I actually think the Bears' defense is really strong. And what I've seen from Jordan Love is that he has been an issue when you've been able to get pressure on him. And that is something that Chicago does well. Division games, you could never really know. And actually, come to think of it, I'm going to change my pick and be lone wolf and take the Chicago Bears over the Green Bay Packers. Because I think in this type of divisional game, I have seen these defenses come to play against each other. And I have seen Green Bay's defense kind of falter, whereas Chicago's defense has kind of risen up. Now, I will say,
The Bears have lost like 10 straight to the Packers, right?
I know that, but
You're saying
now's
the
I was
time?
talking about how the defenses have played, and the majority of that was during the Aaron Rodgers era. If it was Aaron Rodgers playing, I would never take them. But without Aaron Rodgers, I would consider them, and because I have not seen enough, and another guy that people have ranked above another quarterback, I haven't seen him being the same type of quarterback from before. And I will say this, Chicago, you bench this guy, there's a reason why you'll never succeed. And this is the reason why a lot of teams don't succeed. And we'll dive more into that. What's up, Wyatt? Welcome, buddy. We'll dive more into that. But at the end of the day, you don't have patience, you'll never build a team. You'll never build a good team if you don't have patience. And that's the reason why a lot of these teams, when you bench a quarterback in his first season, were y'all good at your jobs when y'all first got there? Were y'all the best at the things when y'all ran up into a promotion? When you got new things and new systems and everything to go on, were y'all doing y'all thing? Exactly, no. Because if you looked at Indianapolis, they benched their quarterback thinking they got another one. And then he was a good backup, and now he has more interceptions than the other one. So think about it, guys. Think about what you're doing. And so now I am going to sit here and go with the Bears as a lone wolf to upset these Packers. We are going to move on to the next game. We have Dom's Detroit Lions versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what I'm going to do this week for every one of us when our teams come up, I'm going to let y'all start it, and then I will come at the end. So, Dom, you take it away.
This will be brief.
It better be brief.
I'm definitely picking us to win, definitely picking us to cover. Because Jacksonville has their bye next week, they are sitting Trevor Lawrence. So I have a feeling Zadarius Smith may make a meal out of Mac Jones. The Jaguars are they're not very good right now. However, they have played pretty tough against NFC North opponents. Green Bay scraped by them. Minnesota didn't even get a touchdown on them. But this is also no Trevor Lawrence, and this is also not the Packers or the Vikings. This is the 8-1 Lions. This is probably the best team in the NFC. Some say the best in the entire league. I'm not so sure about that because the defending champs are still undefeated. But yeah, I'll take the Lions and we cover. This could be ugly. I expect to maybe see some Hendon Hooker action in the fourth quarter after we're up, 3 scores or more.
All right, Denzel, Spike Lee, Morgan Freeman, what you got?
So I haven't drank Mad Dog in 20 years.
I love where this is going already.
Ew.
If Matt fucking Jones beats the Lions, I will come on the air next week and drink a bottle of Mad Dog the entire telecast. Give me the Lions. Huge.
I'm with you. I second that emotion.
Ew. Okay. Mad Dog 2020. That's what you had when you were a teenager and you had to have somebody skip and buy some liquor for you when you were 16. Oh my gosh.
You didn't even know what you wanted.
No, you just wanted to drink because it was liquor. That's all you really wanted. You just wanted to drink because it was liquor when you was underage. And I don't remember, actually. I didn't really drink till 21. But I do remember being around my brother and then when I was like 16, 17. And they got the MD 2020. With that said, though, I do take the Lions to win, but I am not as on the Lions as much as the rest of the world is because I have seen a few things over the course of the last couple of weeks. They have rebounded and won, but as I had stated in my post, you throw 5 picks against Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Philadelphia, you're not going to win that game. And so if you do that, and Jared Goff, when I saw these MVP conversations, I'm looking at his numbers, and it is a statistical number. I'm like, how? He's a perfect game manager for a team, and how is he considered the MVP over Joe, Josh, and Lamar? His numbers don't even equate to that.
I don't think he was ever an MVP. He was in the conversation, maybe.
Your boy, everybody's boy, Stephen A. Smith calls him the MVP, but that's Stephen A. Smith, not that here nor there.
Yeah.
Sidebar, I got Detroit winning this game, but I do have Jacksonville to cover because they do are going to play tough. And yes, it may look like Mac Jones, but you do know Vegas has laid traps. And Vegas laid a trap against the Green Bay Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
We could be doing the same thing.
they
Detroit
won, but
should
people lost
win.
money.
Detroit should win, but I think it's a lot more to it than I don't know. I don't think best in the NFL, and I'm not even sure if I say best NFC because I think the team that James has is the one team that actually can beat you guys head to head. That's just the only team that's really the legit threat. It's coming down to those two teams. So we're all on the Lions. With that said, I may have the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover. We're going to go to the next game.
I'm going to send an email to Mad Dog and see if we can get sponsorship, and then we can have an MD 2020 lock of the week. How dope would that be?
Definitely have a sponsorship from MD 2020. Morgan David Winery. If you watching this telecast, we need a sponsorship.
Is that what
We'll
MD
take
stands
everything.
for?
We'll take anything. MD 2020, man. Let's bring it back to greatness.
I'm with that. Look at that, guys. Let's do the dang thing. Now we're going to go to the Minnesota Vikings and the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to be honest with you. We have a bad team versus a very average team, and an average team that had a good record to start the season, but they are coming back down to earth. They are definitely the comeback player of the year has still the quarterback, but he has definitely started to kind of show little kinks in his armor. And then you do have, but the thing is, you have the Tennessee Titans. Ironically, Tennessee has the number one total defense and one of the top 5 defenses in points allowed, but their offense is very inept. Their offense is really based off of getting some running game, couple passes here and there, and their quarterbacks trying to make some plays, whether it been Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. Now, Mason Rudolph is more of a pro-style, stay-in-the-pocket type quarterback, but, we ain't going to talk about that because I thought Mason Rudolph would have been something good coming out, and obviously that turned out to not to be true. So, Denzel, Morgan Freeman, Sherlock Holmes, Robert De Niro Jr. Yes, I'm going to keep going with that one. Who do you have, buddy?
If you read it at the bottom, I quoted Dom. Ignore the hits Nashville part. The Sam Darnold resurrection campaign. That's what it's all about. I know the Vikings have kind of, they're starting to see the cliff. They haven't fallen off yet, but they're seeing it. They're teetering on it. But against the Titans, definitely should be a bounce back. A bounce back for them. Actually, you know what? No. What are they bouncing back for? They beat the Jags. I know it was barely, but they beat the Jags.
Bouncing back from not scoring a touchdown against the special ed Jaguars.
Yeah, and Mac Jones, go figure. Yeah, definitely give me the Vikings in this one, and I like them to cover. Go ahead.
I will also take the Vikings. I believe the good ship Darnold is in danger of sinking, but they can keep it on the dock this week and repair those the cannonball holes in the hull, and they can bail some water out. Like, the good ship Darnold doesn't even need to set sail this week. I think they can win strictly based off the run game, and as long as they win the turnover battle, which Darnold lately, he looks good for a couple picks, but we all know about Levis and Butthead and how he likes to throw picks like it's his job, and he is good at his job. He also likes to fumble. Yeah, give me the Vikings to cover.
Is it
Tennessee,
Mason?
you're awful.
Get
a quarterback.
Is it Mason or Will?
That's Levis started last week. I mean, unless they're going straight up, musical quarterback chairs, which they might be. I don't know.
Yep. JJ?
Ooh. I don't really care about these teams, but I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings. I'm just to be honest with you. I don't know, shade to them. But my focus is different. But for this, I will say I think the Minnesota should win this game. These are teams that no matter what their record is, they have a lot of growing to do. And as much as the Sam Darnold train may be good, we may be looking at another Case Keenum type situation with the Minnesota Vikings where it can only get you so far, but it may not get you to where you want to go. And so I am going to take the Vikings, though, but it's not really a team that I have high confidence in.
Question, though, for you, JJ. Are you surprised that line is only 5.5 as opposed to, say, at least a touchdown?
No, I think it's indicative of them seeing the same thing that we're talking about with Sam Darnold starting to regress a little bit, and this team actually only put 12 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that defense is not as good as this Tennessee Titans defense. I think that makes sense for them.
Okay.
Moving on. Boom, 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 boom. We have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, the funny thing about these two squads is there's so much history amongst these organizations. From the 70s to the 80s to 90s to the 2000s, these teams had history. But now they're in two totally different spaces. One team was kind of expected to be this way, which is the Las Vegas Raiders. And, they're having a quarterback conundrum. Their head coach, first year, he may get the Steve Wilkes treatment, and that probably has to do with the fact that how the Devontae Adams situation handled. And then Miami, their season has not gone how they thought, and now they have to try to rebound. And they're trying to rebound. They got a good win against the Rams last week, who is not a bad team, but it's not a great team. But they're trying to catch up, and they've got a couple teams ahead of them that they need to sit here and make sure they win these games. So, Motown's finest, the Detroit Riverwalk. Who do you have? Do you have Tua, or do you have I'm not sure who the quarterback is for the Raiders.
Aiden O'Connell.
Is it?
Aiden
He's starting
O'Connell!
now. I like Aiden O'Connell's dead caterpillar mustache. I'm going to take a page out of your book and say these are two teams that I don't care about.
Right.
The Dolphins were kind of left for dead when Tua got his most recent concussion. Speaking of which, I didn't see any of that game because I don't watch the Dolphins. But apparently there was a turnover or something, and this man tried to dive headfirst to make a tackle. Did you learn nothing while you were concussed and not allowed to play? Are you suffering memory loss? Do you not know how biology and physics work? Yeah, the Dolphins, they have a ghost of a chance at making the playoffs still. I mean, I think they're sitting in like 10th, 10th or 11th, but I mean, you're looking up at teams that really aren't that much better than them, like the Broncos and some like the Broncos. If the playoffs started today, they're in at
So
500. But yeah,
you take the
Yes,
Broncos
they're in.
out. You take the Broncos out, so you think them or the Bengals are going to make it because the Bengals is ahead of them.
yeah, I think the Bengals probably have a better chance, but I don't know.
I think I think as of the standings right now, I think Denver would be the 7th seed
Yeah,
And
they're in
in the
right now.
AFC. Yeah,
Cincinnati and Indianapolis are right behind them.
right.
I will take the Dolphins, but I don't think they cover. I don't know. It's one of those, it could be a really low scoring game, or I guess it could be a shootout, but I don't like that line. I don't think the Raiders aren't good, and neither are the Dolphins, but I don't think the Dolphins are more than a touchdown better than the Raiders. I don't, spreads like that I mean, this is a relatively evenly matched game. Spreads like that scare me. If it was the Lions playing one of these teams and I saw a spread like that, or the Ravens, or the Bills, or the Chiefs, or the Eagles, or the Commanders, any of those teams that I know are good, I'd be cool with that spread. That spread I am not.
Mm.
Okay. So, Forrest Whitaker, what you got?
I like that one the best so far.
Forrest Whitaker. Oh
Coach
man,
Dog.
give me the Dolphins in this one. These two teams, they kind of had a low key, like historical rivalry going on. That's not really talked about. Of course, this is alluding to their prevalent days in like the 70s. Uh, but with that being said, this might turn out to be one of those ugly games. I will say this much. If the same Raiders team that beat the Ravens shows up, this is going to be a close one, and I do not have the Dolphins covering.
If that's the same team that faced the Ravens, they're going to lose this game because the Ravens lost that game more than the Raiders won that game. I'm going to be very honest with you. That game, they did not deserve to win that game. We gave it up. So if they come to play, I'm taking the Dolphins in that one because the Raiders are not very good. And I'm not saying you, but people.
No. I picked the Dolphins. I just said it's going to be a close game, and I wouldn't have the Dolphins covering. If the team that beat the Ravens doesn't show up, the Dolphins going to kill them.
I actually think they're going to kill them either way. They're at home. Now, granted, him and Tyreek Hill have not been able to get that fire or whatever. I do want to say the one thing about him in terms of the way he plays. You can't glorify players in the back of the day who lay their life on the line for the game, but then get mad at this guy for actually laying his life on the line for the game because he said when he came back, my body, my choice, I'm going to lay my life on the line for the game. So once you hear that, guys, don't be surprised at what he's going to do. You have to let go of your opinions of what you think he's going to do because ultimately, just like you would never listen to nobody telling you how you live your life, he ain't going to listen to you tell you how to live his life. At the end of the day, you have to remember, and this is a man of faith, and the man of faith who trusts God's wishes and how he has his plan does not care what other people have to say about him because no man's opinion reigns over the opinion that God has over him. And he probably went to God and asked him, do you feel like this is the thing I need to do? He walks his path. So if he walks in his path, I'm with him because I understand that. With that said,
God's not a doctor.
I am going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I think they're going to go up. Now, you good. We got it over there. I'll take that spread for them. I don't bet, but I'll take that spread. Anyway, next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams against the New England Patriots. Rematch of the very first Super Bowl for one Tom Brady, who is not on this team right now, but a rematch of the 2001 Super Bowl. Here we go. And 2000 and what? 18, 17, 19?
Yeah,
Whichever
18,
one he
yeah.
faced off and something like that.
Yeah,
As
the
well.
Todd,
So these
the
teams
Todd
have a
Gurley
lot of
one leg
history.
Super Bowl.
Whatever you say. I think that's the one. That's one that that's the defensive one. I believe that was the defensive one
Yeah,
because that's when they had Henderson run over everybody in Dallas and have them go to the Super Bowl. But either way, I go and sit here and say, Dom, who do you have? You faced, I think, the Rams earlier
we
this
did.
year.
We did. We beat them.
You did,
Um,
and it was a tough one because it was an overtime.
yeah,
And
it
now
was.
I'm asking you because Drake May seems to be building up a lot of traction with these New England Patriots now. And you got the Rams who are still teetering as a 4-5 team in a division that is very winnable given how they're currently stated right now. So who do you have?
I've got the Rams. I think they're pretty. I think they're very disappointed in themselves losing. Who did they lose to last week? I know they could have
Miami.
reached the end zone. It
Miami.
was yeah, lost to Miami. If they could have just scored a touchdown, they probably would have won that game. I believe the Patriots just got done eating Caleb Williams for lunch. Didn't they sack him like 9 times last week?
Yep.
Patriots defense is not good. Their offense is not particularly good. I do like Drake May. I like what he's doing out there, despite my universal reservations against quarterbacks from basketball schools. I do like Drake May. And honestly, now, and not just because they're bad, but now that Bill Belichick's gone and Tom Brady's gone, I don't necessarily have anything against the Patriots anymore because the two people I hate, probably more than anyone on earth, are no longer affiliated with the franchise.
So it's safe to say you don't really hate the Patriots in their rings. You just hate the players that was on the team getting the ring.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of their fans. But that's neither here nor there. Give me the Rams, and they cover. Yeah, the Rams they're pretty desperate for a win, and I think Frisco's gonna start to get hot anytime now. So yeah, the Rams have got to at least keep pace. And as it stands right now, the Rams and the Niners are both looking up in the standings at the godforsaken Arizona Cardinals. How long that lasts, don't know, but we'll get to that game later. Yeah, give me the Rams to cover.
Yes, the good old Arizona Cardinals, who now everybody's sitting there saying Kyler Murray is an MVP candidate. But anyway, that doesn't matter.
Who said that?
I'm going to go with the Rams, but I actually think the Patriots will cover. I actually think that these teams are, with the injuries and the people coming back, and the way that Drake May and his rookie campaign, which can reinvigorate an offense that was stagnant or whatever, because it's just something new, something fresh, or whatever. I think they're going to make this a game. Now, I will say this, though. The Rams go as Kyron Williams go. If Kyron Williams gets shut down, the Rams get shut down. They are a run-first team, and they rely on Kyron Williams to set it off. And when he sets it off, they have a better chance of winning a game. With that said, the Patriots do
I don't think he froze.
have been ability to be as effective as you're accustomed to seeing, but I think it's going to be enough to Rams.
Did everybody freeze?
I'm not frozen. You're not frozen. JJ appears to be frozen.
Yeah. Hey JJ, you're gonna have to leave and come back in, man.
He,
Okay, I guess I'll go.
he may not
Um,
know it on his end.
yeah. I'll go. Man, you know what? I'll be honest. This feels like a letdown game to me. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off, but give me the Patriots to win. I think because see the Rams defense a little suspect too. They let HN get off last week. They let Tua get it in last week, but then also at the same time, the Rams have just been this up and down team all year. Um, and I really like what Drake May is doing. I love the fact that Gerard Mayo gave him the keys and they're just letting him ride out the season. He's out there making the best of it. We've already seen a little bit of May magic, and I think we see the same thing. Give me the Patriots 23-20.
I'm not mad at it.
Next game until JJ comes back. Browns Saints. So Dom, you shocked that they're actually a 1.5 home favorite? The Saints are?
Who did the Saints beat someone last week? Who was it? It was someone halfway decent. Oh, Atlanta.
Atlanta.
The goddamn fail can that was so Atlanta that they went out there and lost that game. I was
Yeah,
really
but you
not that.
figure divisional game, man, rivalry game at that, man, those can be
That's
tough.
true. Honestly, like you got to throw out like the records, who's favored. It
Yeah,
doesn't even
that's
matter
why
if
I didn't
guys
really
are
hold it
hurt.
against the Falcons like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, like teams get up for games like that, but two more teams I really don't care about. Hmm. Should they, should they be 1.5 point favorites? Probably, yeah. Um, is the Jameis Winston experiment, is it carrying on for another? I haven't heard anything one way or the other. I don't. Is is Watson hurt?
Yeah, he's out for the year. That man popped his Achilles. All right, there we go.
Oh, he's out
Can
for the
y'all hear me now?
year.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear
you're
you.
good.
Okay, so
Dom's giving his
I
take on
hate.
the game.
I cannot stand. Okay, but real quick, let's go
Are you freezing again?
Oh boy, are you not on the laptop?
back really quick. I want to make sure I get your pick. Who did
Okay.
you pick?
For Rams
Can you
Patriots, I
hear me
I
picked
now?
took
Patriots
Rams.
actually.
Can
I
y'all
took
hear
Rams. He
me?
took Patriots.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're still a little choppy
Yeah, you're still a little choppy, man.
and frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen now. Try leaving and coming back in on your phone or something.
Where's my ketchup?
Okay. Go on, Dom, about this game.
Oh, like I said, I did not know that Watson was out for the year until you told me that just now.
Okay, you guys can hear me now, right? This is so crazy.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Once a
Yeah, that's
goddamn
better now.
day, this connection always fades. It is ridiculous. With that said, you have the Browns and the Saints. I
Yep.
don't know how it was previewed, but go ahead. This is ridiculous, man.
Go ahead, Dom.
Give me the Saints, and yeah, they cover.
All right. Yeah, I'm actually gonna take the Browns in this one. For some reason, I like Jameis Winston, a better quarterback than Derek Carr right now. I think the Browns are coming off of a bye. The Saints haven't beat the Falcons again. You figure rivalry game, you kind of get up for your rivals and everything. But no, I'll take the Browns in this one. I'll take the Browns 28-20. JJ.
I'm actually going to take the Browns as well as I'm transferring over to my laptop, but I'm going to take the Browns as well. I don't really believe in either one of these teams. I think both of these teams are literally bad.
Bad.
Like, I think they're bad. And it's just a battle of it's whatever. There we
There we
go.
go.
You know
Much
what,
better.
guys? I apologize for this connection issue. I don't understand. It's never it once a week, but it's been really bad today. But I don't believe in any one of these squads. I got the Browns. I just don't really think these teams are good, and I think it's going to be either a high scoring shootout because there's going to be a couple interceptions thrown. Jameis Winston going against his former team. We'll see. Moving on, I think we all had this one. We are going to go to the Colts and the Jets. Is this still the 1 o'clock window? I think
Yeah,
so.
I think so. And by the way, an update. Never mind the tag statement. Update: Anthony Richardson is back in at quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
Imagine that, because right after he was honest about how he felt, people said he would never get his job back. Ooh, oh, what a turn of events. Because just because he was honest does not mean his life is done. Y'all need to get over that. With that being said, though, we have Anthony Richardson going against the Aaron Rodgers and New York Jets. When I tell you New York is the one place to be that you don't want to really struggle, that is the one place to be where you don't want to really struggle. And so you have the Jets, who are desperate for some type of spark, desperate for something to put them in the right direction. The defense hasn't come to play like it was last year. The Rodgers and Adams connection hasn't been going. The Garrett Wilson connection hasn't really been taking off. It's had moments, but it hasn't been awesome. And then you have the Colts, who are still in contention. Their defense isn't bad, but their offense is just inconsistent. And so they're trying everything. With that said, don't hurt me, Lawrence Fishburne from Mother Freaking. And what love got to do with it? But what you got, Lawrence Fishburne?
Man, you know what? Oh man, I have to stick to what I said earlier, and that is, even though the Jets did beat us, they had so many games where they let me down. And I don't want to do this because they're in our division, even though we swept them. But oh man, even with Anthony Richardson, give me the Colts. I gotta stick to what I said, because I was like, man, I'm not taking the Jets no more this year. They had too many games where they let me down. But yeah, but don't expect AR5 to win the game. I think Jonathan Taylor can get his rocks off against these guys, and also the defense could make just enough plays to win. I'm not overlooking the Jets. It's just I'm not picking them because for some reason they hate me.
Okay. So Bobby Mercer, who you got?
Bobby Mercer. Wow, that's interesting. I'm going to take the Jets. I'm not going to call it a bounce back game for the Jets. I'm going to call it Aaron Rodgers playing a little bit more like that Aaron Rodgers that we're accustomed to, and giving the Jets fans who are clinging to their dwindling playoff hopes with their dead fingers. I think he's going to give them one more week of hope. I think Anthony Richardson struggles against that defense. I don't really know what his frame of mind is right now. I'm sure he's very happy to be back in the driver's seat, but for how long? Like, is Joe Flacco in the passenger seat? Is he in the back seat? Is he tied up and bound and gagged in the trunk? Have they thrown him out of the car? We don't know. It just, they've obviously had Anthony Richardson on a very short leash pretty much his whole career, and I don't think they've just given him the keys and said, go ahead and ghost ride the whip for the rest of the season just yet. So, like I said, that, and to give Jets fans a sense of false hope, I'm going to take the Jets, but not to cover.
Okay. So I believe you picked the Colts, you picked the Jets. I got to split it here. This is another two teams that are just like, they're talented rosters, but maybe the culture and how they kind of approach things is just not there. Where I will believe more into Indianapolis, because again, I will keep saying this. If you have a guy that still needs to develop as a passer, which is fine, you are doing yourself a disservice when you take him out, put him back in, take him out, put him back in. And at the end of the day, you can't blame him. You can only blame yourself. because you don't have the patience, you don't have the temperament, you don't have the drive to sit there and work with somebody. Because when you do have a quarterback like this who has a dynamic skill set, maybe it's not maxed out yet, but it has potential. I'm going to go with them over this one because I am not so sure everything is. I'm not so sure that this team is looking at Aaron Rodgers and like, I thought we could take it with you. I don't know if we can do that. Because there's something different about him this year, and there's something different about his play. And I do think there was a lot of expectation coming in because we had talked about this guy. He had to wait until like what, year 15 or 13 before he eclipsed over 100 interceptions in his career. He had been used to getting under 10 interceptions, under 7, sometimes under 5. So he probably saw that and was thinking like, oh, we about to rock it out. So when they start seeing it coming down, I think a lot of their team's players looking like,
Telling you, his next stop's Minnesota.
it goes the Brett Favre route because that's literally what I was going to say. It's literally looking like the Brett Favre route. And the way Darnold may be playing, you know this team may be looking for a quarterback. And it does set itself up. It's so funny you say that because I was literally about to say
I've been saying that since he went to New York. I said, what's he going to go to New York for 1 year and then go to Minnesota?
right. And so we're going to see, but I do split the bill, and I will take the Indianapolis Colts in this one because I just think the Jets are in a really bad place right now. We're going to move on. We are going to move on.
Oh, boy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Here we go.
Oh, snap, it's us. Crap. Here we go. There we go. We have a battle for the AFC North. There's a lot of eyes on this game because these are two teams that a lot of eyes in the AFC are watching because they know that they're going to come back. All is right in the AFC North now where you have the top two big brother teams back and forth with each other. Russell Wilson, a lot of people may need to owe apology to because ever since he's been inserted into the starting lineup, he's looked pretty good. Looked similar to what he did last year in Denver, which wasn't a bad year by actual number standpoint and what he was going. But Don broke it down a couple weeks ago about what really went down in Denver that led to where he is now. And at the end of the day, you are talking about two teams that you know are going to bring it. And you know it's a game of the year for those people. It's a game of the year for these two teams. I will start. I like to start against this squad and everything. As we know, this Ravens team has struggled. And it's not just the quarterback, it's the whole team that has struggled against these Pittsburgh Steelers. I think we'll win, but I have one ask. And this is the only ask I have because if this can be completed, I have 100%, 1,000% confidence we can beat this team. Do not let TJ Watt get anything close to what he's been doing against us. When you stop TJ Watt, you have a good chance of stopping this Pittsburgh team. Whether people want to believe it or not, TJ Watt is the most important player on that Pittsburgh squad. Without him, they look lost. They love life with him. It speaks to his temperament. And against these Ravens, he is the only person on that defense that I want us to block out. Everyone else, I think we can go one-on-one with. TJ Watt has been the issue. So the Ravens, I do believe, are the better offense. I don't think they've seen this offense with Derrick Henry, which I think is going to be a huge difference maker, and this version of Lamar who is finally getting into peak prime Lamar. I think it's going to be a surprising game. I think Lamar is going to have one of his best games of the season with this against a team that he's been traditionally struggling against. Now, this defense is an issue. However, much like the Giants, who had one of the worst defenses back in 2011, much like the Colts, who had one of the worst defenses in 2007, much like the Saints, who had one of the worst defenses in 2009, all those defenses did one thing to help their team win: give extra possessions. The defense is going to be the defense. But all I ask, and if you look at last week's game, what start the comeback? A turnover. If you look at the game against the Cleveland Browns, what couldn't we do? Turn the ball over. when you turn the ball over, the Ravens offense is going to get it going. And when you do that, I think there'll be enough. I do call because I know Russell Wilson has struggled against the Ravens in his career at Denver and at Seattle. Remember 2019, he had a pick six that he threw to Marcus Peters when we first traded him on this squad. I do think that this team is going to have a great game, but I'm going with Baltimore 24-21. So I'm going to turn it to another man who actually needs to look at this game for himself or is paying attention a little bit because these are teams that he's fighting with, and there's teams that he might have to play if they get in there. And that's with you, Jay.
Yeah. This right here, I think, will be game of the week. I'm actually surprised that it's at the 1 o'clock Eastern window. And then somehow we got Burrow Herbert for Sunday Night Football, but we'll get to that in a minute. Man, this one is hard because, you really can't go wrong with either or. Given Lamar's record against the Steelers has been kind of the one thorn in his side. And until further notice, I think the Ravens keep it close, but I'm actually going to take the Steelers 26-21. The Ravens defense, as JJ's pointed out, that secondary still has holes in it. I think Pickens can get off. Russell Wilson, he's really great at reading coverages his entire career. And this is another one of those games. Had it been in Baltimore, I probably would have picked the Ravens, So I'm going to give it to the home team this one. Now, I will say, JJ, I do think they split this year. I think the Ravens win the rematch. But this time, give me the Steelers 26-21. Dom?
With that said, Dom,
I'm actually going to take the Ravens. This seems like the type of game that in the past, like Jay said, the Steelers have been a thorn in Lamar's paw, but he's kind of taken it to another level this year. Steelers look really good this year. Kind of reminds me of Seattle East with the run game, the defense. Russell Wilson's deep ball is back, but this is the kind of game, and I know it's just a regular season game, but it is a division game. It is against a division rival who's right there with you at the top of the standings. This is the type of game that Lamar needs to win, and I think that he will. And I would say his elevated play is 50% or more of the difference, but I think the big difference is, like JJ said, it's Derrick Henry. And Najee Harris is having one of his best seasons as a pro. Looks really good this year. Russ looks solid. Steelers defense, it's always good. But yeah, I'm taking the Ravens because this is a signature type win for Lamar if he pulls it off, and I think he will.
interesting enough, and I will say that to the final point about this is the biggest thing that Pittsburgh did that caused Lamar trouble was their blitz packages. And if you look at Lamar this year, he has shredded the blitz. I mean, shredded it.
Yes.
With quick reads. And I think it's more indicative of he knows Monken's offense and he knows how to make it work for what he wants. And I think that's going to be a difference maker because I do think you're going to see another one of those crazy plays where he drops back 15 yards and then somehow gets another 30 yards up front because no one has the ability to do that in the NFL at the way that he does.
And you can't play cat and mouse with Lamar Jackson. You just can't do it.
And at the end of the day they have to remember is when he's scrambling, he's not ready to take off. So if you pull up on him, he has got the weapons and he has the trust in his guys to go to the next level behind you. You saw that against Cincinnati last week. And now you have to, whether you want to believe it or not, and critics, y'all can claim it to the end of your day, teams respect Lamar's arm.
Yeah.
They respect Lamar's arm. Why do you think Derrick Henry does not get touched until 3 yards down the line? They respect his arm.
He's growing.
And I do think that's going to be the difference maker in this game. I think Lamar is at his best year. I love the fact that he's not turning the football over. And I think he's going to do pretty great.
Right.
Oh, I thought it was the one. No, it was the Giants. I'm sorry. I was tripping on that. My bad. Now, I might have been stripped up, but I thought I saw that earlier. So with that being said, we're going to go to the Falcons and the Broncos. Interesting post because surprised at a 2.5 road dog, I was actually going to come in and sit there and say these are two teams that are on the same similar trajectory. They're kind of evenly matched. So it's like Kirk Cousins doing pretty good in Atlanta. Atlanta's had some inconsistencies and they have been up and down in their division. It's flourished for the taking. Denver, outside of getting blown out by Baltimore, really could have beaten Kansas City. And sad to say, if you watch that play, before he even snapped, the way they were lined up, you just knew that there was going to be a block. I have never seen an offensive line form that like a wall where the dude's legs are barely on the ground. I mean, they're bent over to the point where, of course, he could push you over. You don't really have good stance. And so it's like, if they are playing well, but they just hadn't get over the hump, that's the Chiefs. Now you're playing the Falcons. You do something like that, and you have an okay game, you can beat the Falcons. So I'm going to take it to you, Mr. Who am I going to call you now? Tony Todd, rest in peace.
Wow.
I'm all the OG actors tonight, man. No, you're right. These actually are two teams that are on the same trajectory and everything. And I think that see, Dom talks about the 3-point rule, the 3-point favorite rule for the home team if they're pretty even up. It's just crazy because this is 2.5 and not 3. Now, had this game been in Atlanta may have been a 3 or even a 4-point favorite. I think the better offense is the Falcons, but the better defense is the Broncos. And live or die, I've been like this for years and years. Give me the stronger defense. I think the Broncos pull this off. It's not going to put the Falcons in any real danger in the NFC South just because that division is just bad. But no, I got the Broncos. I think the Broncos need this win more than the Falcons do. But give me the Broncos in this one. Dom?
You got the Broncos in this one. So, B-Rabbit, who you got?
I will take the Broncos for a lot of the same reasons that Jay just said. Defense trumps offense. The similar trajectories, yes, because they're both kind of on a downhill slide lately. That was a bad. I don't like. I get it. It's a division game. The Saints played out for it. You can't lose to this Saints team. You can't lose to that Saints team. You just can't. The Broncos, I don't know. They're kind of like middling. I think they end up on the outside looking in come playoff time. Bo Nix has looked pretty good so far. The defense obviously is legit. They don't suck as bad as Tyler claimed that they did. Shout out to Tyler. The Broncos suck. Or he said the Broncos are. Or no, he did say sucks.
He said Bo Nix sucked, and then
that's what it was.
And then right when he said that, Bo Nix just started doing this. So yeah.
Interesting. So,
yeah, I'll take the Broncos. Mostly because they're at home. Like Jay said, if it was in Atlanta, Atlanta would be the bigger favorite. But yeah, and also like you said, the Broncos need this more than the Falcons do. That the Bucs would be more of a threat, but losing those two receivers, that's feel bad for Tampa fans and Baker Mayfield because he's having a great year. Doesn't Baker Mayfield lead the league in touchdown passes?
Yeah, he did. I think he still does. I actually think he gets Evans back either next week or the week after.
Nice.
But JJ?
I'm going to take the Broncos because I've seen this team struggle against the Pittsburgh Steelers squad because of the ability for Justin Fields to be able to run and use his legs. And you got Bo Nix, who is similar, who can run and use his legs, as well as developing as a quarterback in this league. And he has a QB whisperer who loves him, and Sean Payton. Their defenses are for real. But I do think that edge of him being able to use his legs to get first down, 6-10 drives is going to be the difference maker in this game. This game gives me a whole 20-17, 17-14 type feel.
Mm-hmm.
It does give me that feel. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. Moving on. We will move on.
NFC West.
The NFC West. We have the Seattle Seahawks, who they've got some issues. They've got some issues now. And it's not been pretty over there for them in the last couple of weeks. Mike McDonald's been taking a lot of heat. DK Metcalf's been banged up. Eugene, whatever his middle name, as Dom says, Smith is not
Cyril.
really, Peril?
Cyril.
Cyril. I think it was. That's a Harry Potter name, like Pepperell Smith. That's what is cool. I like that. But anyway, he's been struggling. San Francisco, they're breathing happy because their MVP has back. And since he's been back, they have a strong confidence in themselves to get back on track and take the division. So with that being said, in the NFC West, these two teams have battled each other. These two teams, correct me if I'm wrong, have battled against each other. Mr.
Well, I'm Bokeem Woodbine or something like that.
I was going to say, I was going to say Wood Harris. Wood Harris. And if you don't know about Wood and what he's done in his career, you need to check him out.
Go IMDb that
You can
man.
you can start at above the rim. You can start there.
That man is a great actor.
Call, you starting.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'll go to you, Mr. Wood Harris.
Oh man, 49ers came back and they got their groove back. They didn't miss a beat when C-Mac returned to action. I know the Buccaneers kept it close, but the Buccaneers are a tough team. It is what it is. The Seahawks, something is up with them. They're just missing a couple of things, man. They'll hang with you, and then it's like they just kind of let it go, you know? Now, shout out to JSN for putting me well over the top that one weekend in fantasy football. But, yeah, and considering how the last matchup went, give me the 49ers. Right now, we have the Seahawks. They are last, right below the Los Angeles Rams. San Fran's 5-4. San Fran needs to win. Well, Seattle needs to win, but San Fran, coming in, it was like, well, it was their division to lose, and then Zona came out of nowhere. Zona's 6-4. If San Fran wins, Zona will have a half game lead on them. Due to the victory back in, I think, week 3 or something like that in Santa Clara. But no, give me the 49ers in this one. They need to keep pace with Arizona. And Seattle, they'll figure it out next week.
Dom?
I'm taking the Niners. I think they're starting to get hot right about now, which they need to so they can retake control of this division. Seattle kind of disappoints me. I think, unfortunately, the Geno Smith that we knew and despised prior to the last 2 seasons is starting to return. I believe he's tied for the league lead in interceptions. Kenneth Walker has been banged up in and out of the lineup, and even when he has played, he's had a couple good games, but other than that, I think his yards per carry is like under 4. Tyler Lockett was on a milk carton until a couple weeks ago. DK, it's like he's out there, but he's not really been super impactful. JSN has been great, but Seattle started the season out pretty hot, and they've kind of leveled off. I don't know if I'd pick them to make the playoffs or not, but I definitely don't now. Give me the Niners, and I think they cover, actually. I didn't like that line at first, but then I thought about it, and yeah, this is 2 teams heading in 2 different directions. We love you, K9, but not this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to go with San Francisco on this one as well, just because I think both of these teams are. I think San Francisco is, they are the better team. They're the more talented roster. They have their MVP back. Christian McCaffrey makes this team a world of difference. And he has demonstrated since coming to San Francisco to being the matchup nightmare. Just is. Most teams can't plan for him, and most teams still can't stop him. And if you stop him on a good day, he still has over 100 receiving and rushing yards. That's how much dynamic this guy is to this squad. I got San Francisco. I don't like that touchdown, though, but it's okay.
To another potential game of the week. Let's go.
This actually, in my opinion, is the game of the week because this is probably, outside of Baltimore, the biggest test for the Kansas City Chiefs to date. Cincinnati, I know it, but Cincinnati has issues on certain things. Baltimore's early in the season. And this is the one game where I think many people feel if they win this game, they're going to go undefeated. Now, personally, I don't think they even care about undefeated. I think they just care about doing their best to win every game because that's just always been Mahomes' MO. If you know Mahomes, he don't care about the accolades. He don't care about any of that stuff. He just cares about getting the victory every way he can. That's why he ain't tripping on his stat numbers right now because if you ask him, My defense doing the dang thing. Xavier, he don't care. He just wants to win. And that's what I love about him. And that's probably why he wins all the time, because he doesn't look at his stats and thinks about how he's winning, which is what a lot of people want these quarterbacks to think about. Food for thought, yo. Food for thought, yo. Anyway,
Right.
you have them versus the Bills. We all will go back to the AFC divisional round where the 13 seconds came in. So every time these two teams play, it's got all eyes. So we are going to turn to the AFC guy who both of us are looking at these squads. Who do you have?
Ooh, you know what? I would like to sit here and pick the Bills,
Oh my
and
God.
I probably will root for the Bills. But it's just something about because you may as well just shoot Taylor Swift up at this point. But but you know what? The Chiefs, they just keep on. And you said that this was like kind of their first like big test, right? I would argue the Ravens were, but but with that being said, this in some people's minds is their last big test, and we still got to travel to Arrowhead this season. You know, I got asked on the sports arena, can the Texans still win an Arrowhead? I said yes, but we have to play 60 minutes of football. You know, but with that being said, one of these teams is 8-2. Another of these teams is 9-0, and they just stay with a pot of miracles. Give me the Chiefs till further notice. Dom?
Dom.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I really want to pick the Bills. They've looked pretty good all year. Josh Allen just threw his first pair of interceptions last week. Josh Allen, of all people, had gone interceptionless for like 8 straight weeks. I won't say that throwing 2 picks is a chink in his armor. These are two very, very good teams. But don't even necessarily ask me how, but I think this might be the week where we start to see the worm turn with Patrick Mahomes, and he starts playing the way that we know that he can. Probably a shootout. Yeah, I'm taking the Bills in a high scoring affair. I'm sorry,
Oh,
the
wow.
Chiefs.
Oh, the
Rooting
Chiefs?
for the Bill. Rooting for the Bills, taking the Chiefs. Same as you, Jay.
All right.
Rooting for
AJ?
the Bills, taking the Chiefs. I think they actually lose their first game this time. I
Uh-oh.
actually think that it's similar. I think they're playing with fire, and I think we're glossing over it because they're champs. They're doing this. They're doing this, and I can understand that there's precedence for that because when you're a champion, you continue to win. You don't look at the mistakes because at the end of the day, you've already gone to the promised land, and this team has gone to the promised land a couple times over the last 2 years. I do think
I'm with you, Wyatt.
I do think the Buffalo Bills, at least at home, right now in the regular season, have a chance to get it done. I do think, yes, Josh Allen had turned the ball over, but I do think they do still even though they're not doing it as consistent, they're not exactly abandoning their run game. And I think the way you really want to contain or help that yourself against that Chiefs defense is you got to try to establish the run. And if you or you can use the legs of the quarterback because when the Ravens lost by a toe, Lamar had over 100 yards rushing. And we know Josh Allen uses his legs. He's part of the run game, and he will take off against a team when he has pressure against him, like the Kansas City Chiefs have done. It wouldn't surprise me if they win this game, but I actually think I've got Buffalo giving them their first loss. And I think it's one of those losses that just takes the whole air out the elephant of trying to go undefeated and the media's mind, and they're just going to still because nothing changes from Kansas City if they lose this game. Nothing. They are
Yep.
still the team to beat. They are still an elite team. It's just it's hard to go perfect. That's why it's only been done once.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with the Bills to finish this and give them their first loss. But I got the Chiefs covered because I think this is going to be a Josh Allen drive down the field, get the game-winning field goal, 27-24.
I
Uh-huh.
love that. I'm so glad one of us picked the Bills.
Yes. Sunday night matchup. Ironic thing about this is when these two quarterbacks were drafted, They were pegged as the guys. Justin had that. I think he broke the rookie record in Chargers history for rush passing yards his rookie year. Joe Burrow did his thing with Jamar Chase in second. So everyone had them there. One of these guys has kept up his end of the bargain. The other guy, I don't know. But he still has the upside. He still has the possibility of ascension. So, who else is from Detroit? I don't know. Go ahead, Dom.
The well has run dry.
It's a little bit.
He knows
This
better
is
than to
tough.
call
This
Dom
is
Eminem.
This is two
I
teams.
think that was
You already called me B Rabbit.
Oh,
This
okay.
is two
My bad.
teams, the Bengals, that are not as good, I think, as people thought they would be, and the Chargers, at least in my mind, are a little bit better than I thought they would be. Jim Harbaugh's kind of got that team galvanized. He's finally starting to loosen the reins a little bit because he realized he does have a quarterback. I won't say an elite quarterback because he's never even been to, let alone won a playoff game. And I'm not putting you in the elite category until you play when you have an 0-0 record again after you've completed a regular season.
Wait, you
However,
talking
he
about
does have
Jim
elite arm
Harbaugh?
talent.
You talking
Say
about
what?
Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh's been to a Super Bowl and almost won it.
No. I'm talking about Burrow. Or no.
Oh,
I'm
Burrow.
sorry,
Oh,
Herbert.
okay, got it.
I'm saying I won't put Herbert in the elite category because he's never even made the playoffs.
Slow down. Hold fast. He ain't win nothing. They cut the lights out to make sure he ain't get his butt waxed, and that was my brother. Let's go.
And I said almost won it. Was that not a close game?
It was not a close game. I don't consider that a close game.
Dom, did it come down to the last possession, bro?
I consider that
Yes,
Vegas to get their books. Because, again, Vegas had their spread of everyone.
I do think that blackout was a little.
Vegas had the spread
fishy.
3.5, and everybody pounded the Ravens to go 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Lights go out. They win by 3. Yeah, they come back. They only came back because Vegas made sure they come back. That team was about to get their butt whooped like Seattle did Indianapolis last year. So, yes, by score-wise, it was close. But even at that last play, it was never a doubt because they never should have been in the game to begin with. And when that lights cut out, that looked like an Ed Reed pick six was coming on the way because he was inching. But you're right. Almost won, Jay. But we gonna make sure we have.
That's all I said. Hey, I didn't ask for a science project. I just said almost won.
But almost won means that they had an actually chance to win, and I don't think they ever had a chance to win because I would never have taken them against the bet, even at that situation. We could run it back 10 times over, and I still think the same results happen.
Yeah, I don't think. Lost my train of thought. I'm going to take the Bengals based on sense of urgency, even though it is in where do they play now? San Diego. Who are they renting from these days? They're the other team at SoFi, and that stadium officially belongs to no one because it was so goddamn expensive. Yeah, I could just see this. I mean, this isn't necessarily a Chargering game because it's not a game that they necessarily should win. It's pretty evenly matched. They're not even getting their full 3 points at home. Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals. Joe Burrow has been amazing this year, and it just feels like one of those. They need this worse than the Chargers do.
In this one, actually, give me the Bengals. Then again, you know what? Because there have been some games where how much more does Burrow and Chase have to do to win the game?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know this is an opportunity to say the Chargers would Charger, but nah, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Bengals. I am. I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one to beat the NFL's version of the Los Angeles Clippers. Burrow and Chase get off, and now I do think Herbert and company keep it close, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the Bengals in this one. Yeah, I'll take that line.
So you got Bengals, Dom. I think you picked Chargers.
No, I picked the Bengals.
I picked the Bengals.
Go ahead, Howell.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that because
he's gonna pick the Chargers.
Because I know one thing about that coach of the Chargers. He comes to play every game. His teams come to play every game. If we remember when John remembers this, when Detroit got their 5-0 with Matthew Stafford, the first loss they had was against the San Francisco 49ers with the famous
The
handshake,
handshake
not
gate.
handshake from Jim Harbaugh. Jim,
Handshake gate.
how many times do we have to say this? And I'll tell you this, Jim's teams get ready. When you play them, they are so in tune, they're going to compete. And I do believe they're going to have to score some points to win this game, but I do think their defense is going to step up and cause Burrow to have a turnover. And those turnovers are going to be the difference maker, where I do believe in them running the football with J.K. Dobbins consistently, with Gus Edwards in the backfield, and then finding whoever's the receivers out there. I think his name is Lad McConkey or McCorkey, Quentin Johnson, and Josh Palmer. I'm going to roll with my brother. Lost to one Harbaugh last week, going to lose to another one this week. Let's go. The Harbaughs have been your thorn in your side. Let's do this. I'm going to go to the Los Angeles Chargers. I ain't doing a lone wolf. I'm tired. Next up.
All right, last game.
Last game.
Let's do
Yeah, I'm
it.
going to leave this to you, Jay. You take it away. And it's the
This will be
Battle of the
brief.
Texans.
Yeah, not gonna go too in detail this one. Everyone remembers the game last week and all. The biggest thing is the Texans have to play 60 minutes. We're traveling to Arlington against the Dackless Cowboys, and everybody else won't understand. But in the state of Texas, you know, there's the whole there's the Governor's Cup, the battle for Texas supremacy, and everything. Of course, I'm gonna rock with my Texans in this one. This one should be a bounce back game for Houston. And in preparation, because we have a backloaded schedule coming up. We do host JJ's Ravens on Christmas Day. We travel to Arrowhead. We still have 3 divisional games left. We're 3-0 in the division thus far. And we also got to see the Dolphins as well. So, but no, in this one, yeah, give me the Texans, and I like that line. Dom?
Yep.
Yeah, Cooper Rush. Although I have to say, the offense didn't look that much different with Cooper Rush than it did with Dak Prescott, because you could have Jesus at quarterback. If you can't run the ball, you can't run the ball. And typically, if you can't run the ball, you can't win. And that defense is kind of up and down. The Cowboys couldn't beat anybody right now. They might. It's unfortunate that they signed Dak to that long-term contract because, and Megan had said this was the tank before the tank, but you can't really tank now because you gave Dak all that money, and you can't just, can't just, even if it's in 2 years, you can't draft a quarterback when you're paying someone that much money. Give me the Texans by a bunch. I'll go double that spread. Texans by 15 or more.
JJ?
Easily.
Okay.
That's my Mad Dog MD 2020 lock of the week.
Boom.
JJ?
What was that spread?
7.5.
I gotta
Don't
be
tell
honest
me you don't
with
like
you.
the spread.
I gotta be honest with you. I do not like that loss for Houston last week, and I do not like some of the things that they've been doing because, again, 5 interceptions, 5 of them.
One was a Hail Mary at halftime. One was a tip ball, and one was a fumble that should have been a fumble
So
rather
when
than a
I
pick.
look
But
at
keep
the
going.
stat sheet, Hail Mary doesn't matter. You threw it, overthrew it. That's his fault. Tip ball, you did it again. That's you. Point remains. 5 interceptions. Just like we don't make no excuses for the 3 picks that we dropped from the Ravens, 8 drop passes and stuff, and you deserve to lose that game. When you throw 5 interceptions and you don't score, but no points in the second half,
Right.
that is on
Oddly
you.
enough, you know who the only other quarterback in NFL history to throw 5 picks on the road and win was?
Tony Romo.
Correct.
Tony Romo against the Buffalo Bills, Monday Night Football, 2007.
Flacco almost won, but we lost 17-10 or something like that when he threw 5 picks against Buffalo back in the day with Jerry Spurd. But we lost that game. But I like the Texans, but I think that is something that's like, yo, 5 interceptions and you in the second half got no points. You're going against an inferior opponent. You better take care of them. Because the last thing you want is to leave an inferior opponent with belief. They saw what happened against Detroit last week. They saw you get up big, and they saw 5 interceptions that were thrown, and that team still had a chance to win. I'm going to go the Texans, but I think this is going to be a close game. And I think that the Texans are going to be in and get taken by surprise by what Dallas is going to be competing as, how competitive they're going to be. But I will say I do believe in the Texans. I do believe in them. But I do think that they have to look at themselves and be like, we
What
see
happened?
other teams doing the dang thing. And we just gave one game up. And now it's put us in a bad position, a tough position.
Mm-hmm.
A tough position. You went from having that possible second seed to now being in the third seed and may not ever get a chance to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to win this game. And I'm a believe in you guys, but I will say this: that just, I don't care who it was. That's 5 picks, and you
Yep.
didn't score in the second half. You can't have
Stroud did throw 2 of his own.
you can't have that against an inferior team, because what you give that inferior team is belief. And
Exactly.
I know
Thank
what
you,
happened.
CJ Stroud, for finally allowing one of our corners to get not 1 but 2 interceptions, our first 2 of the year by corners.
Hey, and also, and before we
Thank you
go
for
off the
doing it.
air, Dom, and I mentioned this to Ray J. Lynn on Sports Arena. Brian Branch, to me, is in the conversation for DPOY. That dude is a hawk.
Why not Kirby Joseph?
Yeah, or you know what? You could take any 2 or 3 from that secondary and name and put them
If
as
that's not
DPOY
if
contenders.
that's not the best safety tandem in the league, I'm forgetting someone because there's at least one. There's a few really good safety tandems, but Kirby and Brian Branch have been great this year.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's about it.
So with that being said, guys, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys in the comments, Wyatt. We really appreciate you. James, get well, son. Get well, my brother. We missed you up here. We missed all the fun talk, but you know what? We still think about you. We hope everything is well. Any last thoughts from you guys, gentlemen?
Go Lions, one pride.
Go
I'm gonna
Texans.
sit here
Score
and
'em.
I'm gonna sit here and say I've been watching the God of War Kratos. I love Kratos. That's all. But y'all have a good one. I love Kratos. Y'all have a good one. Have a good night, T fellas. See y'all on Friday at the Gauntlet. Sideline Sports, we out.
Thank you. Good night, Zimbabwe.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night, Kalamazoo.